You know, as someone who fairly moderately horrendously dislikes Final Fantasy III, I'm probably not the most suited guy to perform an atrocious challenge run of the game, but the thing is, if you're new here, I have the biggest balls on earth, it's a fact, and I don't shrink from nothing, and all that means is move over nobody. I'm claiming the title of Final Fantasy III Challenge Champion. If it hasn't been formally declared,
hello there, I'm Seer, local dickhead,
and I plan to cover every single mainline Final Fantasy game with a terrible challenge run, and the gimmick is I'm going to sit down and invent the worst shit known to man. I'm talking no low-hanging fruit, but top dog ideas, things that make you wince, things that you don't even want to imagine being doable. I'm gonna be very screwed at Final Fantasy X. Degenerates play that game, but so far we've only covered the first and second game, both of which being some of my absolute favorites that I know how to manufacture challenges into large, hefty kicks to my dick. Metaphorically, but sometimes it felt like literally. But with the third entry, the much not released in English ever Final Fantasy III, it's a genuine strain in my anal membranes to come up with something that will both be an interesting challenge, but also just not literally impossible. And this is the problem, why I just don't like this one nearly as much as most other games in the series, but mostly everything is dictated to you as to what you should be doing. The worst game in the series is 8, by the way, just a brief shout out. Sorry. 3 functions on jobs for your characters, which sounds fun, but is designed in a way that forces you to use the ones the game intends you to use when they want you to use them, rightfully telling the game fuck that, which wouldn't result in much as it's an emotionless machine that knows not of your human interest in fun decision making, would make things far harder if you don't say that you want to be a Dragoon class for Garuda, a boss that's nearly impossible to defeat doing anything else, if you want to not be a mage for the mini dungeon where you can't deal damage without casting magic, if you don't want to be the obvious meta composition for the final part of the game where anything else is obviously suboptimal and sucks, you are told where and what and when and how much to stick it. So okay, step 1, we're gonna stay as an Onion Knight the entire time. This is the default class and it's the most obvious component of a challenge run for this entry. The Onion Knight is a little child with a tiny sword and copious amount of empty space surrounding the area where his massive ass could be. So he's weak, feeble, and has no durability. With no special moves or even the ability to equip nearly anything in the entire game, this makes the challenge already get a nice mold. But you can find this challenge completed on YouTube already, albeit not on the NES version because apparently I'm the only graduate of Not a Bitch University. So I can't just leave it there. You know what? This child, he's completely alone. Friends were named on the ground, so they're doomed from the start. Big Cock was destined for greatness, so we're just gonna pioneer the can you beat Final Fantasy III without jobs or a party challenge. But you know what? It's not enough. This child doesn't comprehend economics. He's not spending a single gil anywhere. Let's see if any of you Final Fantasy VIII lovers out in cyberspace can top that. We are, for once and for all, pushing Final Fantasy III to the utmost, most masochistic, and stupid-ass challenge imaginable. Can you beat the game in its entirety without the use of jobs, money, or a party? With all this taken away, you might as well call the game all, because this shit is all over now. Let's formalize and discuss little nuances, and it'll help you understand what we're up against. Final Fantasy III is fairly linear, and certain points of the game demand the use of jobs. In fact, there's no way to even progress past the very beginning without using the spell Mini, which requires a white mage, which means the challenge is straight up impossible.
Right? With a question mark?
Well, not right. There's actually a trick up my sleeve, and it's called Nasir Gabelli. In the swan song of Nasir being the programmer for the Final Fantasy series, we will be exploiting one singular bug in order to finagle a run where we aren't fudging the rules. I'm not gonna tell you any of this right now. Fuck you. Fuck you. In terms of what is already revealed, i.e. we will be a single weak class that can't spend money, we will be extremely limited in ways to influence our power. And weak class does not begin to explain it. The Onion Knight is so astronomically underpowered in comparison to anything else in the game that we have no hope of being competent in most fights. Your character stats are tied to both your level and your selected job. There are a lot of statistics to think about this time around, and to be honest, most of them are frankly unimpressive in how they affect your power and defense. For example, strength increases your attack power by 1/4 of what your strength statistic is, so at level 99 you get like 24 attack power. For context, the best weapon in the game has an attack power of 200, meaning it's almost 10 times better to have that than to have good stats. That doesn't mean the stats are useless, of course. The more the merrier, and that's just where the Onion Knight is funny. The statistics of the Onion Knight are worse than if I transmogrified myself into the game and suplexed bitches, because it's almost comically bad. No, seriously, for an Onion Knight to be on par with the statistics of a level 1 warrior, they have to be level 50. Yeah, unlike literally every other job in the game, the Onion Knight gains a pathetic stat increase every 10 levels or so. They begin with 5 in every statistic, and at 10 they now have 6, and at 20 they get 7. And again, looking at the warrior, at level 50, that class would have 43 strength to the Onion Knight's 10. And the warrior is one of the first classes and is generally just bad as well, so imagine how much much better you would be if you could choose anything else. Similarly, the Onion Knight cannot equip many things, which means that the majority of the power they will get comes from stats. And we've already discussed how bad stats are in comparison to equipment, so yes, no. So as you might already be saying, yep,
He's off his rocker. He's in Looney Land. He's a cracked, dumb, stupid fuckface again.
this challenge will end somewhere in the middle with it being impossible, and maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong, but the game does have a lot of exploits and glitches. Yes, it is made by Seer. Finally, of course, the inability to spend money means that I'm most likely going to completely die from anything that inflicts poison, blind, does general damage, as well as, I'll never have any ailment remedies, no ability to buy potions, and the inn costs money, so goodbye inn. The only reason the challenge is alive as a concept will be revealed to you in due time, but it's not going to be pretty. And that brings us into the beginning, so let's go in order, no more messing around, no more literally just spoiling the fun parts of the run. Let's begin the journey to stop evil incarnate as a tiny, singular little nightman. As the game begins, you and 3 friends fall into a pit and complain that you are too mentally insufficient to be walking near holes. Then suddenly, a battle with goblins breaks out and you are tasked with killing them because apparently you're violent children. I start by swiftly purging my party of the excess members, leaving only Cock. And if you recall, the character of choice today is named Big Cock, so you might be able to guess some poor fate befalls regular Cock here. Also, this run my good friends are on the ground as opposed to the soon much higher brow of on thine ground to support the newly improved size of Cock. So don't get used to these fucks. Anyway, after the party is dead and you are alone and weak, you have to navigate through this very small dungeon. Thing is, you're designed to have 4 members here and the challenge would already be over if not for the blessed bounty that is a free pond that restores your health to max. Imagine this in the first game, my god. As these sporadic ponds do not cost anything, they are legal tender for our purposes, meaning I could come back and drink from this pond forever and therefore have a way to always heal. The reason this is less good than you might think is that they're not always available. Several points in the game have limited access to any of these great lakes, so planning will have to be done in order to succeed. And if you know me, planning is not my strong suit. In fact, I don't really have a strong suit. It's mostly saying balls and dick and suck and what. My left arm is so numb, it's crazy. The good news is it doesn't matter, because if you hear that, I didn't die, but it's so fucked up. Also, these ponds don't heal status effects, so they still represent instant failure, and our good old reset counter will be happily incremented. Regardless, thanks to this, we now have the potential to sit here and murder thousands of goblins and other creatures in total self-defense. We are not exploiting their race to become somewhat more swole. The enemies give around 40 experience per group, which is fairly decent up to level 10-ish. Something else that is good and useful to take useful note of is that potions are dropping pretty plentifully in this cave. This is a tedious endeavor, one which I need to focus on rather adequately as I cannot save yet. Hint, hint, and drink from the disgusting pond water, take a piss, kill some goblins, have a bowel movement, etc. We've been there, just Cock gains a lot of levels, and I move on to the first boss, the land turtle. This is an innocent turtle, guarding a shiny rock of which we have no perception of being important, and I just kill him. This is not an absolute easy battle. You take a lot of licks being alone, but still being level 9 makes it a smack fest. Having to use a potion though, so we can't say he didn't push my Cock to his breaking point. After this, we go back for a drink, start grinding, get some more, levels, they're flowing in, and I decide to leave. First fight outside without saving and I'm poisoned to GG. That's the end of this run as I cannot cure this ailment right now and something tells me I wouldn't want to cure it either. Anyway, it's Big Cock on 9 ground time. This run progresses in much the same way as it did before, but now I get to level 14, actually save the game and run around to the nearby towns, getting a feel for Final Fantasy III. We are then randomly and totally accurately dubbed the Warriors of Light because we've killed a turtle and are tasked with saving a nearby town from their cursed existence. A nice ghost man named Sid gives us his airship and asks us to fuck a bitch up and restore the people of this town to reality. I have no problem with that. I am evil. I trapeze over to the cave in question and get all the components of my ass destroyed. The enemies in here are just suddenly mega strong and blinding, which is another thing that just basically kills me. So the question is, how do we grow larger? How does the Cock get bigger? And I have the answer. It's kill more goblins. And that's among another idea, but give it a second. The grinding will come first. Since we can theoretically just get as many stats as we want here, we can just batter enemies in the caves forever. I will refuse to do that as much as I can. Once fairly strong, I head to see what's going on in Jin's cave, and when there, Princess Sarah, a nearby local, is thinking on how to kill Jin and has to get baited by me saying, hell yeah, we can help, it's easy, we'll kill Jin, and then we die horribly moments later to some floating coins. After a few tries of getting cream corned, I realize how broken it is to put your character in the back back row. Unlike Final Fantasy II, you can have everyone in the back row and it makes you receive far less physical attacks, giving you some kind of shroud of invincibility. Conversely, you miss a lot more as well, but it kind of evens out, especially because I have a lot more strength than I should this early in the game. Kind of, I am still genuinely way weaker than a level 1 warrior. So from the back row, I can descend to the bottom of this cave and get in a fight with the second boss, Jin. This fat man is a fat man who can't fight me as I'm out of arm's reach, and I just hit him 10 times for like 60 damage, and now he's trapped in a ring which we put into the sewer next door. Wow. Princess Sarah is pleased with our success and wishes to investigate Big Cock's big cock, but we say be gone, and she returns to her father's side and I receive a canoe. I've said this like 9 times. Why is this such a go-to reward for these games? I don't want a fucking canoe, right? That's the premise. That's what I wrote first. I want some steak dins on the good Mighty Man meals. Holy shit. What the fuck does that mean? I wrote that. What does that mean? I want some steak dins on the good Mighty Man meals. What the fuck am I talking about? Anyway, we go and chat with Sid, who says he wants to see his wife now, needy bitch. Before we go back to satisfy his pineal gland, I head to the mithril mines where there's 2 mithril swords hanging out, and that represents the best weapon I can equip for almost the entirety of the game, and therefore it will be our best source of offense. Sadly, I have to restart several times as the enemies in here both sleep and blind me, with the former representing me getting killed and the latter representing me losing my ability to keep playing the game. I go back to the castle before heading out with Sid because there's moderately dense experience granting zombies in the tower for some reason. Maybe Jin was the good guy. Why do we have this in this tower? Are you fucking crazy? I farm for a bit, getting really nothing accomplished because I realistically don't get any stronger, only, having slightly more HP per level. Plus, these enemies also blind, so I say fuck it and just prep the eye drops I have on reserve for use once I'm done with this. Finally prepared, I go and get a metal rod shoved onto the front part of my airship and crash into a mountain, smart game, and end up without an airship, but more of the world is now open to me. We return to Sid's town and his wife is dying and needs an elixir to survive. Very expensive proposition, but we get some treasure in return. I don't really care as I'm just role-playing an asshole child who has murdered thousands of goblins, but I do want the treasure, so I go and find a Gatorade in the grass, and I waste this precious healing item on Sid's wife. Notice, elixirs fully restore your health and mana per use, and they are quite rare and represent very premium items. Without them, there will be insanely hard fights later on that I'm not sure I can survive, but, for now, just because I don't know, maybe the game will be easy, I relinquish one of them. After this, you are tasked with traveling up Bahamut's mountaintop and fighting the King of the Dragons. I know it was impressive I killed Jin, he was a fat man, but the King of the Dragons, guys. It's like Godzilla. But Big Cock never shrinks from a challenge, so we head up there and this path brings us the newest form of frank ass fucking, but these monsters petrify, which will always be an instant kill for me. Happy day. So numerous tedious reloads later and I ascend to the top where cool guy Desh is, sitting in a bush. He says, wanna huh? And Bahamut swoops down and he says, it's time to dip. And I say, but I've got no chip, huh? And Bahamut kills me. No, I'm just kidding. I run away. Hey. And then we flop down to the other side of the mountain where Desh says we have to use this handy mini spell he has up his ass because he does, to become small and go to Smallville. But Superman is gonna have to wait for me to figure out another way to do this because I can't cast any spells as an Onion Knight. Final Fantasy III is such a great, well-made game that there's no way to obtain or purchase an item that shrinks your party. Here's the thing, you can't beat the game from this point with this challenge setup. I need to become a white mage to do this, you'd think. The good news, and I alluded to this earlier, but Nasir Gabelli made this game, so there's a heinously stupid thing I can do to succeed. Now, for the record, you can exploit this bug to become outrageously strong and over-prepped immediately, and I won't be doing that. Let me introduce the blessed method for saying fuck Final Fantasy III's dumbass arbitrary requirements for random things throughout the entire game, the item upgrade bug. This is where if you possess 21 items specifically with a stack of 99 of any non-particular one and would receive 100th quantity of that item, instead, it upgrades the item in a specific slot by 1 increment on a table of 256, or something like that. So I actually can get 99 potions through grinding even more goblins, that's no problem, get my chainsaw out. And fortunately, these aren't mine goblins, those don't drop potions. Then there's 20 additional items to find over the game so far, so we have our second requirement taken care of. Finally, we have to do this and orient our inventory in this specific way, and it sucks. So I'll post on the screen now the table and let you scroll around and look at it. Yeah, look at that. I don't know what the editing's gonna look like, but I'm showing it to you right now. As you can see, the Lucky Mallet, the item that inflicts and cures the mini status effect is here, and so we need something before it that will upgrade into it. In addition, we'll need 4 of them, as just having the only member of our party alive in Mini does not grant access to Mini-only areas. You need the dead characters to also be small. There is actually no way to return to the Goblin Cave now that we've jumped onto this side of the mountain, so we're going to go back to an earlier save and start grinding. We are back in the cave from which we can seem to never leave. Here is a little spoiler though. This all works good and all, but I should have gotten a 5th hammer as to repair Big Cock's issue of being small, of course, but I took note of an enemy in the future who drops a lucky mallet and I figured it'd be cool to just get one from that monster as a small little man.
Ooh.
For now, we have the hammers, but we're also going to need some firepower, which I have in convenient item throwing form. In some chests and patches of grass around this part of the game, you can get Arctic winds and bomb fragments and lightning bolts, all matters of things that deal damage regardless of your status. Which is good because we have to fight the giant rat. The giant rat is literally just a fucking rat, but we have to be small, so it's a little misnomer. Poor name. Should have been called the disgusting small vermin that currently appears large and in charge of a small crystal, of which we need to stop the big-ass actual scary sea serpent from wreaking havoc in the nearby land. Before that, though, we've got to go through the Tackle tunnels, where there's nothing cool except swords and staves I can't use, and enemies which I have no choice but to run away from. As a mini-man, you deal 1 damage to everything, so we aren't fighting until we're back to normal. So running away is on the table, but let me be perfectly clear about something, but running in Final Fantasy III is the largest, fattest, swollest ass of a button in any game ever made. Not only does it seem that running is literally impossibly low odds most of the time, but when you select run, you start taking an unreal amount of extra damage. You are considered defenseless and take like 3 times the damage you'd normally take from every attack. This is of course mitigated a lot by being in the back row, where you just oftentimes dodge hits instead of taking them, and for a majority of the run I spend my time in the back row because while my offense takes a massive hit, my defense becomes incredible. Similar debate, but I oftentimes use 2 mithril swords instead of a sword and shield. The shield gives you massive defensive bonuses this time around, but the 2 swords gives you a much better offense. I'm offended you think I want a defense. What do you think I am, a little bitch? So after you're small and run through the Viking base, you learn that the Nepto dragon got a great job from his father, but beyond that, he's mind controlled and killing anyone who leaves the bay. To rectify this problem, you have to enter the temple that belongs to him and repair his statue. Inside, you crawl into the missing gem eye slot and walk to the aforementioned giant rat, and he is healthy as fuck. 450 HP makes me question if this is going to be possible, and the answer is no. Not to mention my survival sucks too. He casts magic, stupid smart rat. I have 4 items that deal damage, and they do about 70 to 90 each use, which is obviously not enough to deal with the 450 mega pool we have to deal with. Game over yet again? Nope. Back to the goblins. There are upgraded tiers of throwable items, and as such we can go turn our bad ones into the good ones. I convert my items up several times to become Northern Winds, which cast Blizzaga on the enemies.
Blizzaga on my gaga.
Now we have to run back to Bahamut, and I'm hating everything about this. As per usual, we take deaths, we get petrified, we get annoyed, and again, spoilers, shoulda gotten a 5th hammer. At the rat, we smoke him in 3 items, leaving us with 1 juicy Northwind. Cool. We leave, we impress the Vikings and gain access to the boat, making us happy-go-lucky. It's time to get dicked. We now have the access to the rest of the overworld with the current objective to climb up this tower, the Tower of Owen. Sadly, we'd love to return to the mini fortress nearby to use their well to restore ourselves to normal size, but funnily enough, it's blocked until you do the tower. Now, what's interesting is that 2 of the 3 enemies on the first floor of the tower can drop the lucky mallet. Can is a different word than does. I have 1 Northern Wind, which will sometimes kill groups of 3 enemies, but never 4. So 90% of the battles seem to be with 4 and warrants a reset straight away. The idea is to throw this item at things until it drops the mallet, and then I can continue playing. You have no fucking idea how dedicated I was to this idea. Because after this point, you have access to a new healing fountain at the abandoned nearby castle of Argus, which gives me a spot to fully heal forever, which would make this another good spot for grinding. If I can ever get big again. I'm sorry, this usually doesn't happen. It's apparently a 1.6% drop chance for the lucky mallet from both the pig mage and the petite mage, and yeah, you want to know the amount of hours I did this? Just this, what you're looking at right now, the thing on the screen. 14 hours. I spent 14 hours of time here. I got dick all the show for it. I received only 2 of the proposed 4 drops that these enemies can drop, and I started thinking that there was a conspiracy. Like, there's no way on earth that this is just bad luck. It's legitimately impossible. Then I wondered if the drops were dependent on how many of them were in the combat to begin with, and if they were 4, you'd receive the good drops. The only way I'd ever actually know that is I went all the way back to the goblins fucking again and grabbed an extra mallet by using a soft that is found on Bahamut's mountain. So yeah, I swallowed my pride and went all the way back and did everything again, and it took me like 35 minutes, and I should have done it 14 hours ago, but fine, we're done. We've done it, and I'm in the tower, and I'm a big lad now. Good. Now, as I spend a lot of time looking for lucky mallets as I can just farm these guys infinitely and a lot faster, and no, they don't drop here. I refuse to believe they do. I spend literally 10 useful hours here just level grinding, running around, getting practically no stats whatsoever, and they never dropped it once. But during my fights here, I noticed that the Farjalug enemy, what the fuck is that, were inflicting me with status effects, making grinding that much worse. Keep this idea in mind, it leads down another horrible road. Well, I figure I'm now strong enough and had to progress into the tower properly, when I discover you need to be a toad in order to get through a hole in the wall and move on. You might think someone doing a challenge run of a game would remember how to beat the game normally. Yes, I agree, I should have known that, but I've not played this game remarkably much and remarkably willingly. It's like 8.
Oops.
Well, anyhow, game's over now because I can't cast Toad to get into the wall in order to move on without changing jobs and becoming a white mage.
Correct.
Well, actually wrong. There is a way, and it's hilariously bad. Remember those Farjalugs walking around in here? They cast Toad for us, so I figure I just need him to hit me, Big Cock, with Toad, and then we can get a freebie. I've been receiving Maiden's Kiss items, which return you to normal from Toad. They don't actually turn you into a Toad, unfortunately, but you know, it's good that at least I have them to turn back. Fun fact, though, the whole party must be Toaded in order to enter this hole. It can't be Minnie and dead. Fucking game's a piece of shit. Fuck this game. So what do I do now? Do I take level 1 complete crap characters who are minied and chart them across the ocean after resurrecting them in the fountain back at Argus and then get into tedious combat with Farjalugs until they completely randomly and incredibly luckily fortunately Toad my mini men? Yeah, 6 hours. I need some words with Nasser Gabelli. Many of them will be fuck. Okay, anyway, yeah, we're all toads. We can enter the tower, and the stupidest part is you don't even have to be a toad at all in order to do this place. You can cure the ailment immediately. So after climbing through the wall and kissing myself, I can romp around in here no problem. By the way, an awesome boon from doing all this grinding was the fact that I've been muted, which prevents me from casting spells. You know, the lack of spells obviously doesn't matter, as the Onion Knight can't use any, but the mute status prevents me from being poisoned and blinded. Fact is, I now have a built-in defensive shield from ailments that could actually impair my ability to succeed. It's like having gonorrhea. I'm not scared of herpes anymore. No one's gonna be touching me. Including the boss of this place, Medusa. She spends 100% of the time trying to petrify me, which can still work, mind you. The thing is, it doesn't work, so I just slap her 5 times and we're out of here. Easy boss. Well, not Dash. She's gonna jump into this fire to save the world from collapsing. It seems like a bad idea to design the world that way. With the whirlpool preventing further exploration gone, I can now further exploration, and I find my way to the dwarf cave. These guys need their horn back before they will be happy, and I'm happy to oblige. We all need some horn help however often. Thing is, I have to be a toad again, so guess what? We're going back to the fucking Tower of Owen. I'm gonna start paying rent, I swear to God. I live here. Once again, you can cure the toad status ailment the moment you cross into the dungeon and then progress as normal. What a tough, totally not arbitrary, annoying design. In here are enemies that inflict petrify, and I die. Go back. This is a great game. This happens 4 times in a row and I'm getting frustrated, and then it doesn't happen, and then I'm having a good time and I reach Guzco. Guzco is a literal fucking caveman and we just beat the shit out of each other as fast as we do, and I do faster than he, duh. He's dead, and on my way out I get petrified and I dead. This proceeds to happen until I get the lucky string of encounters where I get to run away from everything immediately. Once outside the dungeon with the horn in hand, it turns out some other evil dick was following us and steals the 2 horns, thereby doubly screwing the dwarves over. They say, "Lolly ho, stealing my shit, fuck," and I feel bad for basically having caused this and go onwards to help by killing yet another person. We go north to the Flame Cave after drinking from the pond in Castle Argus, my real home, and
Shit, bitch, ass, dick.
balls, stink, slop, shat, shart, slime, stunk, skunk, lunk, long, dick, dock, rock, sock, cock. I have no point. That was just written there. I must have been having a bad day. Point is, we've got another dungeon with another petrifying enemy, so that's just dandy. The fire cave isn't so large, and it's not so bad as you just wind around and get to the boss, the salamander. Let me show this guy my salamander. Ooh boy, he kills me very fast. We go again. This time I opt to stand in the front row, as all the salamander seems to do is shoot flame at me, which is not reduced in severity if you're in the back row, so it's an all-out DPS race. And fortunately, hitting for about 300 a round means I have the ability to kill him, and I does. Now we head to the town of Tockle, and some guy grabs my cockle and sends me into Hein's castle. It's a floating castle in the sky, and Hein is a big skeleton. I don't know why, huh? This place requires you to be mini again to get through one door. Have I mentioned this bad design? I'm fresh out of mallets, which makes me think I'm going back to the Goblin Cave in like 80 hours of gameplay, but fortunately, a guy in the jail cell gives you 8 hammers, which is all I need to get through the rest of the game. So I'll head into this wall and I'll start wandering around. Okay, so some bad news. I only have 45 or so more of those potions left, and in the dungeon scenarios, it's the only thing I can use to heal myself. Ordinarily, that'd be plenty, but things around here are vile. They sleep, confuse, punch my nuts hard. It's a rough place. Not only that, but I have to constantly restart by going through Tackle, getting captured, navigating the menu to use the hammers, go under the wall, return to normal, and then I die in the first encounter. And then there's the boss after all that, and yeah, counter going up, annoyingly up. Like, Hein is a pain in my hiney. To be honest, that is by far the tamest thing you'll ever hear me say. Hein is unique in that he's a piece of shit. This boss has abnormally high resistance to physical attacks on account of the fact that you're supposed to defeat him with specific magical attacks. The thing is, you are supposed to use a scholar to determine his current weakness as he constantly changes what he is weak to. I don't do any of these things. On several attempts, it becomes clear that his 1600 health pool is far too high for me to deal with just punching him. Between missing and just having pathetically limp hits while Hein beats my ass like a bongo, I cannot win with my current power. So I head back for some more grinding. Guess where? The Tower of Owen! After we make it to another power break point, I go back to fight Hein, and it goes really unwell. So now, do I undertake what would probably be a 5-hour grind to get another 10 levels, or do I just do what I should have done by now and use the items in my inventory that deal magical damage and hope to get lucky? Alright, well, big bucks, no whammies, stop bingo! I just destroy him with luck. Wasted time again. Honestly, I don't know if that would have ever been possible just by punching him. After this, Castle Argus is repopulated, which I dislike. I've been evicted from my quiet, happy pond-containing building, and the king slides up to me and says, I'm gonna give you a time gear to fuck off. It's not all bad. It lets Sid make our boat an airship, which is great news, which gives us access to the world below. From this point on, we need to be careful. After the next dungeon, you are forced into an area from which you cannot leave for a while. I need to have a good supply of potions and levels before entering into a long commitment. Finally, on the lower world, I find the Shrine of Water and see that there is indeed yet another fountain down here, meaning I can at least farm on some of the newer and harder enemies. Trouble is, they are newer and harder, and that means this is vaguely inefficient. While some more experience points are appreciated, I don't enjoy how I can only fight 3 things before needing to drink from the complimentary groundwater. By the time I check out of this hotel, this minibar is going to be gone, believe me. I do this for a little while, but then decide to go explore some more, where I find a lone boat traveling around. Aboard the boat is some probably mistranslated name of Elia or Elia, the character who needs to follow me around for the next few hours in order to progress. That's their name. But she requires an antidote to cure, which is funny because I could have foreseeably not had one of those anymore, but I do, and thus the game is not over. Of course, we can always return to the potion duplication upgrade bug if we need a specific item, but let's hope we don't have to do that later. Want to know something funny? For the moment, we're on our way back to the water cave to get the water crystal. Once there, Elia can open up the path that was previously blocked, and I can heroically move my ass to the back row where I take and deal less damage. Elia now thinks she's supporting the wrong people as 3 of us are rotting on the floor, and I'm just one huge jacked baby man throwing my sword at things from a good distance. Still, you can't argue with the results. I got this far. Moments later, I am killed. It's grind time. I feel the need to become stronger than what I am at the moment. So for another long time, fortunately not at the Tower of Owen, I am back to rapidly attacking many things, and it sucks. Let's skip it. There we go, and using nearly 70 potions, I can walk down to the water crystal boss. Elia is hyped as fuck and walks forward to collect the crystal and then gets shot. Average day in Detroit. And we turn to face the perpetrator, Kraken, except he's now like 3 feet tall and scrawny. I shouldn't shit talk though, I get outrageously dumped on. Kraken casts a bunch of powerful spells that deal 400 a round, and I deal around 200. So yeah, glad that grind session really paid off. This time I have a better plan, and it's hitting up more shoe, getting some bombs and some rope to bind my balls later, but mostly the bombs by killing enemies around here. They up my damage to around 350 or so a round, and the next time I walk down to Kraken, I can win that race. It's really good. It's great. Now we can unfuck the land, get the drain out. I didn't even mention, did I? The world was flooded after an earthquake or something, and therefore there was nothing but a few landmarks available on the world map until now. And as far as I can see, they didn't explain why everybody survived being flooded for months or years. Ooh. Elia dies and bestows upon us her blessing as the world returns to pre-Noah's Ark levels. We wake up in some inn and people are already back to working. Brown-nosing people, fucking assholes. Upon going outside, we see our airship now has a chain anchoring it to the land. So yeah, who do I gotta kick in the balls for this? Well, I never. I storm around a bit, and to the south I fall into a hole and die. Thank God I actually saved the game. I mean, why did they design that? Now, I want to remind you of something, but you can't have 2 combat status ailments simultaneously, and since I've been silenced for a really long time, I didn't have to think about being poisoned or blinded, etc., but you are forced to be healed following the Kraken boss fight. Them bitches gave me my voice back, I shan't forgive them. And since I can't return to the floating continent yet, I have no way of getting silenced again, and now everything is constantly inflicting ailments on me so I can't grind. Game's over! Kinda, I'm just kidding, but it's still not good. Fortunately, our pond still exists so I can heal, but the resetting and saving are going to be monumental. I figure we could try and progress through the story some more because why not? And in this town I find 4 crotchety old shitbags who are proclaiming to be the 4 heroes of light. And you know, no joke, 3 of them are better than my team. Point is, there's apparently floating shoes in the sewers that anyone can go grab, and they'll be needed to cross over that pit that killed me earlier, and these old men want them, so I follow them in. Across that pit is Goldor. He's some asshole. It makes me miss Astos, but you know, new day, different dick, and all we want to do is get our boat released, and he's the guy to go do it. He'll do it by being dead. So the sewer is very bad, full of things that confuse and hit way too hard, plus there's an obnoxiously long pseudo cutscene where you have to save the 4 old men from 8 goblins, and doing it 9 times again and again made me mad in the brain. Eventually, we blender our way through to the bottom, and some other old person gives us the Air Jordans, and we head back to the Goldor Manor. Before we get there, let me mention an item you need to progress, the magic key. Now, I fortunately picked up a magic key from the floating continent. If you didn't do this, it would be the end of the game actually for real, as you can't open a door in this place without it. We'll need more of these keys too, and there's not enough to find. You actually have to buy them to beat the game. As I don't know what buying is, or what jobs are, or why I'm doing 3 challenges in one, I will need to go back to the Goblin Cave and bug out another one before later. Just a brief aside, because it's time for Goldor to shove a trophy up my backside. In the manor proper, you get petrified a lot, which is obviously instant death. If that wasn't bad enough, I'm sorry, that's pretty bad. I wish you were easier to impress. Should we go back to Lich being a colossal bitch? Or any of the horrendous nonsense we had to do in Final Fantasy II? I'm sorry, all we have is Goldor. By the way, spoiler, I think I'm doing the worst Final Fantasy IV challenge anyone has ever bothered to do. It's my formal invitation to try and make a horrible run and grind it out before I get mine out. I can't match stupid-ass Goldor or his massive Chad muscles. I get absolutely thrashed. You have no idea. Well, I mean, sorry you do. You just watched it. But how about another attempt? Oh boy, look at that. Getting totally clapped again. Goldor is far too strong at this point. I can't even deal much damage to him, let alone survive his Omega Rampage. So it's back to the canoe to grind in the rivers for like 10 levels. Yes, the rivers are safe, and no, they're not worth much. Sadly, with the land being so trash to consistently grind on, the inside portion of the water cave having poisonous enemies and Goldor's mansion killing me immediately, I have to do this, and while it's nice because it's right next to the shrine to heal up, it's so slow that no amount of second monitor action makes me enjoy this. And imagine, I'm playing on 8 times speed. If you did this on a console, it'd be just worse than math class. It's like math ass back here. I just want to be done with this part and back to moving on towards the next brick wall. And yeah, bing bing bing, level 50, and now we're like a level 1 warrior. We go back to Goldor, and the damage I deal is fat, like big mode fat. It's like 300 in attack, but you know, let me have some. Goldor dies, and like a true rich man, he eats his money before he dies properly so that no poor fucks can have it, and we're sad we don't get any new jobs and head back to our airship boat. We're now free to progress rapidly towards, we don't actually know, but we're free to go anywhere now. In canon, we fly around aimlessly for 3 seconds before being shot down for having the audacity of being alive. Before I get shot down though, I'm going to go get silenced first. Also, probably going to do a bunch more level grinding because up next is the part of the game that from the start I thought would be impossible. The Garuda boss fight is next, and with no uncertain terms, the game screams be a Dragoon before you take him on, and yeah, no, so we better be big time strong before trying it. I grind for a bit and feel like we're going to be strong enough to fight him and fly over to the kingdom of Sarnia, where we are shot down because everyone in this world is an asshole. Now, destitute and stuck within this seemingly locked down kingdom's walls, we notice there's a big feud going on between 2 factions. We ignore it and go to this random pub instead to find 4 adults picking on a child, and we, as another child, say,
"Okay, boomer,"
and they turn and try to kill me immediately. I smack them fairly simply and they die or leave, I don't care, giving me the chance to talk with this boy who turns out to be the prince. He's upset because his dad, who is apparently turning into a colossal dickbag, alienated him from the castle. We reckon this is a misunderstanding and bring him back, saying that his father probably regrets what he did and loves him. In the middle of the night when the king tries to kill his son in bed, we think we might have gotten this one wrong and try to help the situation. Turns out the king is being controlled by this monster, Garuda, a big bird man, and finds the willpower to deny the heinous act of stabbing his sun. Then Garuda attacks him and me, and this fight is really bad. Every round, Garuda does big ticket damage, and the intended way to just not worry about it is to jump with the Dragoon class over and over, and literally the fight is awful. You would take 0 damage if you just jump over him. Sadly, having to endure the onslaught of hits myself means I don't have nearly enough in the tank to win. So it's time for a few things like more goblins at the beginning of the game to get 99 potions, dear god, and then scouring around the world to find enemies worth grinding on. And while there's a lot of decent spots, the things that really speed up the grind are just eating my ass in one bite. They got that dislocated jaw. I start thinking that maybe the best place is still somehow the stupid ass riverways. Until I stumble upon the Death Needle. This beast gives a whopping 6,400 experience per kill, without a doubt the highest amount so far, and all I gotta do is sit in the back row and fight a few fights and then leave back to my handy water fountain. The reset counter is about to get absolutely filled to the brim. Here we go. The reasoning for all this resetting is that there's 3 separate enemy groups here and I have 0 chance of defeating the other 2. These Greek looking asses use Quake and that leaves me quaking in my boots, let me fucking tell you. And the other guys, the catmen with axes, well, self-explanatory. We're here for a bit, made even longer by my save file corruption. Yeah, that happens. I don't know what exactly happened between these sessions of mine, but I lost all the grinding I just did, so you know. There we go, like magic, like nothing ever happened, we're back. I get to level 60 and figure that sounds deranged enough to work and head back to fight Garuda. I get my ass blasted more than thou mother. Yeah, lightning is doing 400 a round at least, and ideal maybe 200. So I'm gonna need a new strategy. Unfortunately, it's not required to be that interesting, as Garuda just does this attack 100% of the time. You know, it's very linear. As such, I think an elixir or 2 should seal the deal. The elixir fully restores your health and mana if you're not privy. As of yet, we haven't talked much about my endgame considerations, but for a lot of reasons, I don't want to use my elixirs right now. I only have a few, and considering everything only gets progressively harder, I could benefit from having more of them for the ending. That being said, this guy demands their use. We're back at Garuda, and I'm satisfied that only 1 was necessary to punch him down, although it got close to being 2. How amazing it is that I only needed 8,000 HP instead of 4. Although my success was after grinding to level 65, as I did actually need 2 on a previous attempt, I didn't even save it, I just went back. True beast mode, I did it twice. After you kill Garuda, the king says, and dies, leaving Prince Aulus as King Aulus, and now that he's all that, he gives me a free bitchin' ass airship that allows me to fly through some previously inaccessible areas. I stop by for a drink from my favorite pond and head back to Dorga's crib, a place in the mountains that's windy. I don't know why. He informs us that the last crystal is still around and that we should hate on this guy named Zan because he spells his name with an X and not a Z, lame bitch. Also, he's gonna kill everyone. This new airship of mine looks like a football and it really bugs me. Does that bother you? I mean, this game is just so bad, am I right? Football ass fucking airships? Air shit in my pants. To progress, we have to do something incredible. Something never before seen. It's called Be Mini and Walk Through a Wall. OMG, that's so cool. I want to shake Nasser Gabelli's dick right now. I am only a slight total hater. Unfortunately, this is another mini all the way dungeon and it's really bad that I have to be. This is the Cave of the Circle. There's no boss and I just have to reach the bottom and I'm getting murdered. It's at this point, you can't run unless you get a preemptive attack. This game is literally so over now. The luck required to run every single fight is absurd. It's awful. It's horrendous. It's stupendously, horrendously dick suckerous. I don't know how to do. This is the moment. I mean, you thought it might have been the combat. You thought it might have been a boss fight. It's just getting through this hole. And I don't have a real strategy. There's some kind of whispering that higher levels equal more preemptive attacks. And yeah, I get enough of them to think this is possible, but I don't get all of them. It's also at this point that throwable damage items are just not going to do the trick. It would take me forever to get through here if I farmed enough to do that. I mean, that's going to be in the back pocket. We could possibly do that. I beat my head into the wall. It's all I can do, and I try to endure. Enjoy the footage of me having to so many times use them out in the inventory and then run through the wall and then reset. It's so fun. It's great. It's not. But you know what's funny? It actually at some point it just works. I wander past everything and end up in this room. You know, fine. All right, sure. I'll take it. This was all done to allow the Nautilus to dive under the ocean. Thank God I don't have to walk out and instead get warped directly outside. The goal now is to go grab a harp that wakes up the other good guys guy who helps me beat Zan, the total piece of shit. We're on our way south to the Temple of Time. Ocarina, stinky game as well. I made a video on that actually. I am a great critic. I definitely am not a hater. We arrive in the ocean depths and go inside. It's at this point I am no longer in reasonable territory. Yes, only now, because I get massacred by everything. The damage you suffer as an Onion Knight is awful, not helped by the fact that I still only have leather armor. I have not gotten an upgrade since the first dungeon of the game. But you know what? Forget my bitching. Don't listen to me. It's not worth it. I'm so sorry. We have a dungeon to trapeze through. The funny thing is that there is actually a massive upgrade in this place that we can equip. The Pro Ring, this hand slot item, grants me a lot more defense and resistances to a lot of status effects. That will obviously make life 50 times easier as I go through these last portions of the game. And yeah, that's right, I may not have informed you, but we're kind of nearing the ending sooner than later. And I've withheld some information from you for a while, and it relates to how we will complete the game as one Onion Knight. It starts with N and ends with Gabelli. First, for some reason, at level 88, the Onion Knight stops being natty and starts juicing hard as shit, and they rapidly gain stats up to level 99, where they end up having 99 in all stats, being at that level the most statistically powerful class in the game. But you might say, well, they can't equip anything, so it's a great trade-off. Well, the other very unique thing about this class is that the best equipment in the entire game can only be equipped by them, but it's not much of an important detail. The Onion equipment, being a sword, shield, helmet, body armor, and gloves, drops rarely from very uncommon enemies in the last dungeon of the game. And I mean, you know, the final dungeon is very hard, so having the opportunity to find and use amazing equipment is nice, and I'm pretty sure if I got that far it would be doable as long as the copious amounts of hard encounters leading up to that area are completable. That of course starts with this place, which is truly terrible. You know, the resetting is big O here. We grind through and hate everything until we reached a locked door, and you know, guess what? Yeah, we have to go through dozens of item upgrades to actually get a key to unlock this door. So yeah, welcome back, Goblin Cave once again. Chapter 1, we can't leave. I'll spare you this footage. I wish it didn't exist. I could have lived so much life that I wasted here. Or even ate some pasta. Alright, we're back and we go through the Hell Dungeon once again and we grab the harp and we can now go and wake Une. This woman with a bird gives us access to the Invincible, which I normally dislike because it's slower than walking around, but I love today because it has a free bed with infinite healing and status recovery in it. The bed is a Tempur-Pedic. It's really great for my back. But before the bed and by extension big ship that we need to beat the game, we have to go through the ancient ruins and the game's over. Actually, maybe really this time. This marks the beginning of the splitting enemy, a classification which means that they split into a duplicate copy of themselves if you physically attack them with anything other than a Dark Knight. I am unable to run away from anything still. Nothing's changed on that front, so yeah, thanks for coming and have a good day. It's dog shit game. Well, maybe it's not over. It's just another 5 hours I have to beat my balls like a bongo, resetting, running through, trying again, resetting. I mean, just look at this footage. I have a lot of it. Eventually, through the lucky usage of the rest of my magic dealing items allowing me to clear a few random encounters that are extremely enemy undense, I make it to the Invincible and can properly hop onto the airship and have some fun. Coming up is the least fun thing in the game. The Cave of Darkness is the splitting dungeon. Every enemy in here is numerous, splits upon taking non-lethal physical damage, and is iconic for being Nasser Gabelli taking a huge digital dump on everybody. This is probably the longest dungeon in the game to this point too, and since running is not an option I'm going to be ever given again, there's no way we can brute force it like the last two places. Meaning we have no choice but to see if a very, very high level can manage to succeed. I am level 70, and as mentioned earlier, you have to be level 88 to start seeing rapid stat growth, and by now the efficiency of leveling up is completely destroyed. I have no idea who came up with the curve in this game. I mean, it could be Nasser Gabelli did everything else, but no real player would ever want to grind to even level 70, let alone 99. Still, the benefit of the Invincible is that there is random encounters in the air near the Cave of Darkness, so you can farm really fast in conjunction with the bed inside the airship. I have a lot of this footage. Have a blast of it. I'll put it at 10,000% speed. There it is. How was that? Scary? You shart your pants on that one? I did, and that's why it's time to change my baby ass onion pants to the Chad larger cock than usual pants. We're now level 88, baby. Since we're this far, I decided to go back to the Death Needle area, as those enemies still decidedly give the most XP in the game. It's at this power strength I can more handle the other random encounters there as well, so we're making things more efficient. At nearly max level, like 96, I head to the Cave of Darkness, and I still can't fucking one-shot anything. The thing is, by dealing roughly 1500 damage in attack, it dramatically weakens HP pool of the splits. I may not have made this clear, but it essentially doubles what they have left, not giving them a whole copy of their original health. So if the original has 200 health remaining after getting hit, the copy also gets 200. The pain I endure is the hard part now, as I really can't spend 50 rounds per fight. Usually 3 enemies take like 6 attacks, which isn't great even with 10,000 HP of my own, and I think I'm gonna have to start delving into my elixir supply. At some point I leave to go get at least 1 more level, but I'm running low on that being an option anyway. I'm just hoping 7 more to every stat may be the tipping point to one-shotting things more reliably. On the full-scale delve, I get to the final floor and have to pop an elixir, one of the only 3 I have left. There is a boss down here, so I can't be coy. I'm gonna need the elixir to heal up, and there's a chance I need to use another one to get out of here. Because while this place is bad, the final dungeon is the one that's legendary for its difficulty. Imagine that. We make it to Hecaton. What the heck is this ton of shit doing in my way and holding on to my horn? And my earth horn. Yeah. This boss is a bitch. He hits harder than the local truck, doing around 800 damage a swing. He also has a lot of health, but fortunately he doesn't split or anything and I outpace him. The fight leaves me with 3,000 HP and I know I'm gonna need to be greedy to get out of here. You know, preserving my elixirs will be key. So I blow the rest of my potions and head back, upwards and out of this asshole of the world. Also, what am I looking at in here? These turtles holding swords. You know, what happened to Groger? Wherefore art thou, Groger, my true love? We get lucky enough with leaving though, despite being down to under 1,000 HP and using everything except an elixir to restore my stamina. After we escape, there's a short list of things to do in order to beat the game. We're level 97 and therefore we could go get 2 more levels to get to our max potential, but I don't really care. We'll get that level looking for any onion equipment in the crystal tower. The story demands that we go get the earth crystal before we have to kill Dorga Anune. Don't ask why, but we go and do that, and in the Ancient's Maze we can pick up crystal armor, and lo and behold, you can actually equip this as the Onion Knight. I have no idea why. My body is now hard as stone. Either way you want to take that idea, but the fact is this defense is awesome. I am actually able to fight things now, which makes me aim exclusively for the Onion Sword, as it will increase my attack power by 183 per sword. That is no joke, equivalent to being like level 400. Before that though, we have to head to Dorga's Pad. Inside, we're given access to a secret dungeon in the wall. Yes, again, another one, and it's a very simple place to navigate. At the end, Dorga and Une state that they need to die to prevent evil from being evil or doors from being opened. It's something about how the legendary powerful realm of Eureka, a place I won't even be going to anyway, since I don't care about what's in there, is too alluring to all would-be dickheads, so they want us to be the last ones to ever enter that place and to drive out evil from the Crystal Tower, where Zand is summoning the Cloud of Darkness. Guess who the final boss is? And yeah, kill us please, thank you. And I absolutely add a butt cheek to their ass. My power feels very competent, but we still have it. One of the classically hardest dungeons in the series, a gauntlet of unreal proportions, the Crystal Tower. This place is normally loathed for being incredibly taxing and taking forever, but at level 98, nearly 99, with full crystal gear, I am remiss to say this isn't even that bad. Since nothing in here seems to split anymore, I can handle everything. Great design that dungeon was. Still, there are instant killing wizards and things that deal a lot of damage, so I don't want to linger, and I reset several times finding out about those lovely things. The problem we do face is that I have to linger incredibly long in order to find the elusive red dragon enemy. The 3 different dragon enemies in here are the only things that drop the onion equipment, quite rarely, and the red one happens to be the best drop rate for the sword. It takes me so long to find a single dragon, and the risk of being instant killed or simply beaten down is high. From the back row, I can stay mostly safe, but it's a long haul to even make sure I'm in the right spot to find these guys. Fortunately, eventually I get the chance to tangle with one, and despite having a pretty huge health pool of over 20,000, I can handle them. I was legitimately worried I couldn't handle them. It's TBH. How do you say that? Tib. It's been 50 minutes, fuck you. Enemy dropped an elixir, so yeah, that's cool I guess, but not what we need. And then, no joke, I find the sword within 3 dragons. And then I find a 4th dragon and get another sword. Literally, that's fucking bullshit. I'm cheating. Don't trust me, that's too lucky. Just wait for Final Fantasy IV though, my luck will be back to sucking eggs. So yeah, like I said, the dragon has a good health pool, which took me a long time to whittle through with mithril swords, but with one onion sword, I instantly start hitting around 7,000 damage on average, and with a second one, we're hitting well over 10,000. As the game doesn't actually have a damage ceiling, it displays a max of 9,999, but we're actually probably dealing more like 15,000 per hit. And thus, we save, and we're now living up to the name. Our cock could not be larger. Scaling the tower takes a brief amount of time. It is very long, but when we're in the back row, I couldn't be safer, and I'm hitting above the damage cap. With literally the max strength we could possibly have, I am nuking things, including the big bad we've heard about all this time, Zand. Legitimately, I Zand his ass to him. Honestly, I thought the first fight with Zand was supposed to be scripted, and and I had the game on enhanced speed and he just vanished immediately. His whole body got disintegrated from one onion lad. Before the fight with him though, he tries to use a legal loophole of, well, you don't have friends, shithead, you can't fight me. And then all my kind of friends say something is happening to Big Cock. Even those old men who I'm pretty sure we canonically hated, but they send one of them, Brad, to help us. And yeah, Prince Alice, Sid, Brad, Princess Sarah, and Desh, who isn't dead despite jumping into an active volcano or whatever, all show up to grant us access to fight the losers and who, yeah, I already showed you how that went, but you know, look at this footage again. What a bitch. But then the Chad cloud of darkness descends and you can't even hit her. She's intangible. You have to die in this first fight. This brings us to the final 5 bosses of the game. The World of Darkness is home to 5 bosses, all of which have notoriety as being pretty heinous. Still, I have limited worry because so far I am just annihilating everything in my path. The only thing is you can't save at any point before the final boss, and I was a bit worried about losing and taking forever for me to run back through the tower, fight Zan, you know, die randomly again, do everything over and over again, repeat for something, you know, you get the idea. And yeah, the 4 bosses of Echidna, Cerberus, Ahriman, and the 2-headed dragon stand in the way of our final boss fight. So let's just run through and blitz them down. No little bitch time. Let's do it. All right, here we go. Echidna is up first, and this naked upside down woman uses a lot of spells, including instant death ones and heavy hitters like Quake and Meteor, so I want to wrap it up quickly. She has 32,000 health and almost dies immediately and does nothing. Good work, me. Then Ahriman. Okay, this is the one I'm thinking will be the hardest. Heavy hitting spells, instant casting, paralysis, and petrify, 30,000 HP, just a powerhouse, and yeah, dead. Really fast. That's ballin'. That's great, dude. Thank you for playing. I did it. I'm gonna win. It's at this point I feel pretty confident the game and the challenge are pretty done. I mean, I've only taken a few thousand damage in these boss fights so far. I have a bunch of elixirs, I'm dealing insane damage per round, and I just don't see what could possibly deal with my 10,000 HP. 3 more and I've saved the twin dragon. It's like dessert. A freebie, does nothing but melee attack, and with my health being this high, how could I... Excuse me, what the fuck are you talking about? I came into the fight with 10,000 HP. What killed me? Oh, I see. He just deals nearly 7,000 damage a hit. Okay, yeah. I mean, is this the record holder for the most randomly huge damage dealing enemy in any Final Fantasy game ever made? Nasser basically snuck in a super boss that's mandatory. And yeah, he dies fast if you hit him the way I can, but it's basically like he eats an entire party member immediately. And as my party is akin to my own one's IRL, i.e. just me, I don't have a friend to throw in his way to buy me the time I need. For clarification, after I return, after I run all the way back and die again to him, thinking I was just unlucky the first 2 times, I realized you can mitigate an assload of damage by being in the back row and by equipping a shield, but still, it's unlikely most players wanted to use a shield, especially with all their characters, and figure it was more fun to be in the front row with 2 swords. I mean, I've played this version before, I just forgot about this. If you didn't have everyone with a shield in the back row, someone is getting absolutely trounced. I man mode this by eating elixirs between hitting him once. This is an awful strategy, but I'm so drunk on power from having the onion sword that I just go for the max offense approach. A few drinks down the hatch and we overpower him, but still, legitimately ridiculous. Finally, Cerberus, an enemy who is outrageously hard in the DS remake, is outrageously easy here. Okay. We kill him without opposition and progress to our final boss. Should have done that one first. That's kind of sad. The 4 Dark Warriors we just freed from the bosses, don't ask, football tackle the scary strong booba woman and she becomes green. You just need some Pepto-Bismol. This makes her vulnerable, which means it's time for the final battle. Me with 2 swords that stink and her with Flare Wave, a singular thing she likes to attack with. In a regular playthrough, this move does like 40% of your party's life total per use to everyone and is obnoxiously strong. In my playthrough, it does like 700 damage and I deal over 10,000. And yeah, game's over. For real, this time I am a winner. As the cloud of darkness fades away, we can take in this ending happily. Jeff fucking. The world is saved and we decide to taxi all our friends to their homes. Sid and Desh fuck off and Alice and the old man return to hell, but then Princess Sarah, she wants some of Big Cock, refusing to go home, and we're like, yeah, okay, sure, okay. Back at our hometown, the old woman greets us with some rampant energy. Big Cock on 9 ground. And we watch the ape-like crowd surround us and cheer. We watch the sky and feel joy as the game shows us our party of 1 extremely powerful little man and 3 absolutely useless ones. So yeah, if there's a way to make this harder, I want you to try it. I want you to find it. In terms of what is incredibly hard and doable, this has to be on top because the only difference I could even imagine doing is using a specific class like a white mage, who obviously can't use the onion equipment, but that would make the beginning of the run far easier as their stat growth is better and they can equip things and find spells, and it would change up the whole rhythm. Just to realize the twin dragon is unquestionably unbeatable. Then if you banned equipment equipment, that won't work. I mean, there's just no way. We could possibly ban onion equipment, but then I'm fairly sure the Twin Dragon couldn't be bested. Maybe with a lot of farmed elixirs from red dragons with a shield in the back row, we could tediously succeed, but truthfully, I've been playing this run for far too long. I don't want to try that. You can't ban running from enemies. You can't ban the item bug we used. Really, this is it. I think it's the pinnacle of Final Fantasy III challenge runs. Maybe, because the DS game is some next level bullshit. It's weirder, it's got randomly more challenging bosses, but with the item duplication bug gone, you can't replicate what this is here. All that being said, after the very human amount of resets, we have conquered yet another Final Fantasy. And I want to spoil you on something. If I push this trilogy of games, the Nasir years, to the breaking point, I am only upping the ante from now on. There is no one on this website or any other website except maybe Pornhub where they're going to get as fucked as I am in the Super Nintendo era. Hang on to your balls.